how we need to walk uprightly as our God is holy. So we should also be holy. But mainly, I think when we occasionally when we talk about certain things like that, being holy and moving uprightly, people always have a question. They ask themselves, you see, when you talk to doctors that deal with people who are addicted, they will tell you for one reason or the other, when you tell someone that stop drinking alcohol, they know that they are drinking alcohol and they know that it is bad. But the problem is they do not know how. You see, I can liken it to, there are two men in the Bible that met what I may call a prostitute.
Yes.
One of them was Jesus at the well. When Jesus met that woman at the well, I don't call her a prostitute, okay, she had 5 husbands and all, but Jesus ministered life to her and she changed. And as a result of her encounter with Jesus, she went back and preached the gospel. And the whole city came looking for the man Jesus. Another man is who? Samson. When Samson meets who? This Delilah. It is Delilah who preached to Samson instead. She didn't preach the gospel to him, but what I'm trying to say is she overcame him. So when we are tackling the issues, especially issues of sin, it is important that in as much as we air out simply by telling, because there's a difference between us who are ministers of the Holy Spirit and ministers who minister the law. Now, in this very chapter, Peter says something. Peter says in the book, in the first chapter, the first, fully inherit the final salvation that is ready to be revealed for you in the last time. The key emphasis here is we are guarded by God's power. No man has the power to guard himself. Every man is susceptible to sin. But we are by God's power, he says, through faith, that we may inherit the final salvation. And in the 6th verse, he goes ahead to say, he says, you should be exceedingly glad on this account, though now for a little while you may be distressed by trials and suffer temptations. 7, which you from reading, he says, so that the genuineness of your faith may go. So, in as much as we're supposed to walk softly before God, how do we walk softly before God? Because he says whatever he begins, he brings to an end. He who began good work in us. So you cannot keep yourself by God's very power through faith. So no man can keep himself right except he's kept by the power of God. I like the way he put it in the 13th verse. He says, so brace your minds, be sober, circumspect and morally alert. Listen, set your hope wholly and unchangeably, this is the emphasis, on the grace that is coming to you when Jesus Christ is revealed. So our hope is in the grace of God. When Jesus finished his ministry, he went before God and he said, all those that you gave me I have kept, except from the son of what? Perdition. So every disciple was kept by the power of Jesus. So no man can move uprightly. No man can move without sin, lest he's kept by the power of God. So in as much as we are talking about moving righteously, we should do away with fornication and all this, it is 100% true. But the greatest question is, how do we do away with this? I once met a surgeon, neurosurgeon. My sister had an issue about 2-3 years ago. She had an accident and her muscles had problems. We took her to a surgeon, those guys who work on muscles. This man, every after 5 to 10 minutes, the man used to get a smoking break. And this is a man who has been to the schools of schools. He has a PhD, he has a doctorate, he has a master's. This man knows beyond knowing that smoking is bad. But why is he still smoking? He's under the influence of a